Welcome to the Champion Within podcast, your go-to spot for unlocking a winning mindset. Whether you're an athlete chasing greatness, a parent cheering from the sidelines, a coach leading the charge, or an educator shaping young minds, this pod party is for you. Hey, if we haven't met before, I'm Kate McCauley, your pod party host, former educator turned mindset mentor. I get to meet people where they are and get them to where they want to go. Expect awesome guest conversations with athletes, some solo chats to level up, and always leave this pod party with quick, powerful strategies to help you and your crew push past limits, embrace challenges, and crush goals both on and off the field. Let's tap into the champion within, because greatness is just a mindset away. Hey, welcome into the Champion Within. Thanks for deciding to hang out with me today. Today, I want to talk to you about body language. Body language is a game changer. It is something that you can shift and you can start to feel better about yourself. You can start to change the communication lines with your athletes, with your students, with your children. When you do some simple body language changes, you can actually become more confident. Now, let me just tell you that this is not a magic pill. There has been a lot of debate back and forth with the power poses. You have probably heard of the Wonder Woman. I am a huge fan of that power pose. And some research will show, when you look at Cuddy's research and her TED Talk, that yes, there was stress hormones, and some research shows that you can show up more confidently if you stand in a power pose. Other researchers have debated this, saying, absolutely not. It is not making a change. This has shifted back and forth. What I will tell you is that there are definitely differences that people notice when you show up with different body language. If you are standing in a pose that looks like Wonder Woman with your hands on your hips, your legs are slightly wider than shoulder width apart, and you're in that Wonder Woman or Superman, superhero type pose, you come across as more powerful. Whether or not we can test and say, yes, we are more confident. Is this hormone being released? Is this actually happening? Is it coincidental with this study and that study? It's debated. It goes back and forth. Depending on what you Google, you can find all kinds of different things. What I will tell you is it's not hurting people in a negative way. There are positive things that are happening. I've been working with teams, and when we talk about walking into a gym and arriving at a field, getting off the bus, wherever it is, and you see your opponent, you see the other team warming up at the basketball game. You're all walking in, maybe even your parents and the fans are heading up to the bleachers. The coaches are glancing down, watching the warm up. All of the athletes are doing that right away. Within seconds, you are making a judgment about these athletes, your opponent. And it is based on their body language, what they are doing and how they're moving. Of course, you are noticing, are they making the shot? Are they falling over their feet when you're at the field here? Are they actually executing their drills effectively? Are they a hot mess running all over the place? My son's basketball team, when he was younger, nobody matched. Some people didn't have shoes on. They would be in their Crocs out there. It was driving me nuts from the bleachers as a parent, as a former basketball coach, as a former basketball player, as a teacher. Just there were so many things going off in my brain thinking, why are some of the boys out there in Crocs and other people are in their warm-ups? They have their warm-up shirt over top. They got their basketball sneakers on. They're doing layup lines. And there's a kid out there in Crocs. He's still got his backpack on. He hasn't even gone into the locker room. He's a captain. I was losing my mind. So when you walk in and you notice these things, you notice body language, you notice how people are acting, this is something that the other team, people take and they make a judgment. So, of course, you will feel a certain way if you start to stand and embody as the champion within. If you enter a place and you are hunched over, you are small, your hands are crossed in front of you, you're in a closed position, how do you think you will feel? I want you to take a second right now and think about that. I know for a fact that you are not saying, I am going to feel like I'm going in there to crush it. I'm winning the game. I am a champion. That is not how you will feel, because our body language, our movements, that impacts how we feel, how we show up. It impacts our belief about ourselves. And then in turn, that impacts our actions. If I'm unsure or nervous about things and I walk in thinking, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I will respond in a certain way. My body will have release of chemicals because I am stressed, right? Hormones, things are happening. When you stand up straight, put your shoulders back, maybe your hands are on your hips, you're in an open stance in a huddle. When you talk to your teammates, you're not, towering over them. You're not arms crossed like you're yelling. You're not waving your hands in their face. You do this with toddlers. You get down on their level. When I was an elementary school phys ed teacher, I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'2", but I needed to get down with the first and second graders so I could be on eye level. I would be kneeling after somebody just stole the ball from someone else and pegged it at someone's head. I needed to get down, kneel, one leg down, one leg up, kind of like a coach's stance, talking to a player here. And I would say, hey, we can't grab that from someone else. And you definitely can't throw it at the kid across the gym. You pegged him in the head with that. And we would talk about rules of the gym, safety, what do you need to do next? You need to apologize. There's consequences, all of those things. I wasn't standing over top of that student. And it's not because they're a little kid. It's because that is a body language lesson that I learned as an educator when I was at Penn State. These are things that you learn so that you can connect effectively with people. You need to do this as a coach, as a parent. You need to do this as an athlete. If you're a captain on the team, if you're just a player on the team, you don't need a title to be a leader. You need to have that open stance. I just told a cheerleading team a couple weeks ago, do not stand in the gym or at the field or in a huddle with your arms crossed. Be in the Wonder Woman. Have one hand on your hip, one arm down. Have both hands at your side. Be open, because knowingly or unknowingly, you are sending a message out that you're closed off, and you need to start moving past that to that open stance. Hey there, I needed to steal you away from this pod party and share this with you because it is too good not to tell you. I want you to unlock your daughter's potential. Complete the free athlete scorecard and see how she compares to her peers. Highlight her strengths for targeted growth, boost her performance with actionable insights. Go down into the podcast show notes, click on that link, and fill out that evaluation today. This is going to be a game changer in her athletic performance. Okay, let's get back to the pod party. My oldest son, who is heading off to college, he jokes sometimes saying, Mom, you have this open vibe that you give out to everyone. People just want to talk with you. And I'm not that guy, but I feel like I picked it up from you because I'm in a store looking at sneakers and people are just coming up to me saying, hey, do you know if you have this shoe? And they start asking me questions. And he says, I don't work here. He says, I think I have that open vibe that people just want to talk to me. And I said, you do. Whether you like it or not, it's handed down to you because he has watched me act this way. I have role modeled this for him purposefully, and it is just who I am. If you are the coach and you are the parent, you are the teacher, maybe you have to change some of your body language and role model that for your child, for your student, for your athlete, because they're watching you. They don't even know necessarily all the time that they're watching you. They're picking it up and they are starting to develop your habits, because who you surround yourself with most often, that's who you become like. Think about it. You start talking like them. You start moving like them. You have the same type of phrases and lines that you steal from each other. My college roommates and I will still quote our college coach. Boatloads of fun. If we say this to one another, we all know that comes from Coach Brian. But these are things that stay with us. And body language is an easy one and a hard one if you've been doing the same movements all the time. But if you start to focus on your body language in the huddle, in that open stance, after something happens and you make a mistake, you as an individual and as a team, you need to focus on body language because it impacts the next play. If you are the football team and you turn the ball over, nobody likes that. You don't want to lose the ball. I get it. I want you to win just as much as you want to win. But when your head's down and your shoulders are forward and you're like, ugh, you know the body language I'm talking about right now. Of course, you don't like to turn that ball over, but you need to focus on your body language and move to the next play. Maybe you need to have some words there to remind you to do that. Maybe it is a team mantra, whatever it is that you develop so that you can anchor to that, to remind yourself to get your chin up. Sometimes they call it a crown keeper to remind you to wear that invisible crown. This is for my guys and my girls. It's not just queens, it's kings too. We all should be wearing a crown. And if yours starts to get crooked, you need to straighten your back, pull those shoulders back, chin up, fix your body language. I've taught yoga and I'm teaching that to my students in a gym class, or if I'm doing some mindfulness, I will tell them, pretend there's a string at the top of your head and you pull that up to straighten yourself out. You show up differently. If I walked in to teach a workshop and I seem kind of small and nervous, it's going to send a different vibe than I walk in with my arms out in that victory pose, like, woohoo, I am here. Let's get it. I want you to learn these tools so you can be at peak performance. That's a different energy. It's different. And they might not be able to say to me, we know why you have so much energy. It's because you walked in with this body language, that body language. They see it, but they may not be able to say, well, this is why she has it. It's my body language. It's also my words and what I'm sharing with them. But my body language has a huge part of that. So in the huddle, after a mistake, a misplay, a turnover, individually or as a team, you need to watch that body language. If you're somebody who realizes another player, I saw an amazing clip on this. I want to say it was UCLA, but I could be incorrect. It was circulating. It was the trending video. A player on a basketball team saw one of his teammates who had his head down after missing a shot, walking back down the court to get on defense. And he simply walked over, put his hands under his chin, and he did the chin up motion. And he pushed his chin up so that he, wasn't looking down anymore. And the memes everywhere were, surround yourself with this person, be this person. So let's do it. It's real great to share a meme and say these things, but then not do it. You have to take action. Be that person. Realize it. Sometimes we don't even realize it. You might be a great athlete and you're so tough on yourself. That internal whisper and self-talk is so negative that your body starts to show it. When you're stressed, it's going to come out in your body and your body language is going to change. The shoulders, your jaw tenses up. You're just going to walk different, present yourself differently. Doesn't mean that you're a bad player or that you're a bad teammate. It sometimes can mean that you're really tough on yourself. And in addition to the body language, you need to learn how to manage that self-talk. What I do next, have those mindset tools. That body language is sending a clear message to those scouts. There are numerous coaches and athletic directors from different colleges, pro sports that will tell you, I purposely will go to a game that I know is going to be a tough game. I want to see what that athlete does, how they act when they don't win, because you're not going to win every game. It's easy to go to a game where they're going to crush the other team and this star athlete's killing it out there. They're great. They're celebrating. That body language is off the charts amazing. Shoulders back, confidently walking to and from the bench, defense, offense. They are in the victory pose. Not in a cocky way. They're just owning it because they're doing well. They're winning. That's what happens with our body language. It's the athlete who can control themselves when you're in a bad situation, when you make a mistake, when you're losing the game, and uplift others along the way. It is the athlete that is truly a champion. And this takes work. So you have to be aware of it and physically change that body language. I want you to steal these tips. There are so many different areas of your life that this can help you with. It's going to have ripple effects, not just in your sport. If you are going into the classroom and you're going to present, or you have a project due, you're working on something, you're going to do an internship at your job, if this is parent or coach, someone listening to this, for the athlete, not just my athletes, this body language is everywhere. You go out on a first date, that first day at the internship, wherever, your body language sends a message. It's not just me arriving to the gym as the basketball coach glancing down to see how they act. It's not just me sitting in the bleachers paying attention to that hot mass warm-up. It's in all these situations. It has a ripple effect. When you work on yourself and your mindset training in this one area of sports, or maybe you do start doing it for your professional life or your personal life, it has a ripple effect. Athletes might be starting with a goal out on the athletic field, and then their teachers will start to see this happening in the classroom. Their parents will start to notice it happening at home. And over time, it's just who they are. You change. It's who you become. So look at that body language, start to become aware of it first, make little changes. The best time to talk about this with your athlete as the child, or if you're a coach talking to your team, is not in the heat of the moment. Nobody wants you coming up saying you. That is not going to work out. The best time to talk about this is when you're just chatting. They're in a good mood. Not when we just had a mistake, had a bad play, lost the game. You can say, chin up, okay, you can say some positive things, but don't say, this is what you should be doing. It's not going to work. Not going to work at that time. It needs to probably be something you're teaching in the beginning of the season to your team as a coach, and maybe you have a workshop about it. That would be a great idea. But don't do it in that moment where they're feeling terrible. Do encourage your athletes to be that chin upper, crown straightener. If they notice their teammates in that moment, that's okay. But definitely don't be telling them to do all of this stuff in the heat of the moment, because it never will land well. Think about yourself when you're angry about something, upset, disappointed, you made a mistake, you feel like a failure, feel like you let everyone down. Do you want someone coming up to you and saying, you know what, you should have done it this way? Right then, do you want someone telling you that? No, you do not. If they start venting and talking about it, maybe on the car ride home or the next day, later that night, that's the time when you say, do you want to just vent or do you want some advice? And you got to give them whatever they say here. But if they do say, yes, I'll take your advice or feedback, that's the time. I had a post on Instagram a couple weeks ago now talking about when to give feedback and how athletes need to be able to take feedback. That'll be a whole other episode. But I can just tell you that the average athlete, they fear feedback and they really just want to be left alone. They're not looking for it. The good athlete, they want coaching. They want the feedback. They're not chasing it down, but they do want it. They're good athletes. They want it. The great athlete, the ones who will be most successful, they crave it, like not in that moment. So make sure the timing's right. Thanks for hanging out on The Champion Within. I will catch you on the next episode. I'm rooting for you always. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Whether you are going to coach, teach, cheer from the stands, or hit the field yourself, remember, mindset is everything. Don't forget to follow the show because we all need a little extra motivation, humor, and some sanity in our busy lives. Go unleash that champion within you, one step at a time. I'm rooting for you always.